Green Lantern New Guardians number 23, written by Justin Jordan, art by Brad Walker. So last issue, we had Relic basically coming out. He captured Kyle for a brief period, and then he just took off. And Kyle's like, oh, he's going after ring people. We got to deal with that. So this issue picks up on Elpis, which after the events of like Green Lantern New Guardians, like 17 or something, it's been a while. They got a new planet. The Blue Lanterns have established themselves on this new planet. And all of a sudden, as they're meditating, St. Walker's like, oh, hey, something's happening. And they turn around and look at the Blue Lantern battery. And all of a sudden, it's totem entity. I forget what they exactly call it. I think it's entity. Busts out of it. Its name is Adara. And it just flies away. It just screeches into the sky and flies away. And St. Walker's like, well, that can't be good. What happens if an entity gets sick? Does that mean that we don't have any more hope? What's going on here? And it's just like, whatever. We don't need to worry about that. And they're like, why not? It's like, well, we got bigger problems. Because all of a sudden, Relic's ship just shows up out of a wormhole right over top their planet and starts poking and prodding with his machines at the central power battery. St. Walker's like, okay, everyone stay calm. I'm going to go talk to this guy. I'm sure he just needs to charge his phone or something. So he flies up and he says, hey, hi, you are not my enemy. I do not know you, but I need you to stop. And Relic is like, do you know what I'm doing, or do you just like hope you know what I'm doing? And he's like, I don't know who you are, but I'm also not an idiot. He's like, that's funny. You know, you're not attacking me. He's like, yes, and I don't want to. And he's like, no, you can't attack me. I know about the blue light. I know what you're able to do. And so he starts like flashing his lights as a show. And he's like, I know you don't have offensive. Seriously, that's not a big thing. But we do show that St. Walker does have at least some amount of offensive ability, but that's primarily because Kyle Rayner, Carol, and all the new Guardians show up right then. So they show up, and Kyle's like, hey, I was trying to call about this, but for some reason he's blocking the ability. So we just had to jump into the wormhole after him. And they all come up with a plan of like, what are we supposed to do? What are we doing? Kyle immediately jumps in. He's like, Relic, I'm not going to let you hurt these people. They haven't hurt anybody. They are literally the most peaceful people. And he's like, oh, I wish that were true. But every time they use their light, they're dooming the universe. I'm not letting this universe end. And we see Worth, the big elephant Blue Lantern. He's like, hey, every time we try to attack his machines, they just absorb our energy. We need a more direct attack. So he comes in and just punches the crap out of the machines. And St. Walker's like, oh, right, you're a tank. I kind of forgot about that. So at that point, Relic's like, you guys, do you honestly think that you can harm me with your light weapons? Like, I've already shown you that doesn't work. And he's like, no, we don't think we can harm you, but they probably can, as all the Guardians come around Relic and start blasting them with their mental energy. And we see that Relic actually pulls them into some sort of mental plane, like all separated. They're each in their own. And he's talking to the Guardians, each individually, but also collectively. And he's like, hey, look, here's the thing. I might have jumped the gun. I didn't think you'd be able to understand. But you guys, you seem to have an enhanced mental ability. I'm going to show you everything and make you understand. And so he shows them everything about his past, just super pumps it into their head. And they collapse to the ground like, no, that can't be. And he lets them all go. And they all start collapsing to the ground. Kyle, St. Walker, and the other Blue Lanterns save them from falling as Carol jumps in on the offensive, but as she attacks with the light of love, it does nothing. He literally is not affected to it. And Kyle's like, what? Can he even feel love? And she's like, no, that's the problem. He's doing all of this out of love. He loves everything that much. And Kyle's like, okay, well, that's stupid. I'm going to use Yellow Lantern power. So he busts out fear just to make his fears come to life. We see all these horrific looking monster things. And Relic's like, you think I'm supposed to be afraid when I've had all of my fears actually realized? My universe died, man. You got nothing on me. And he just smashes the constructs. So everyone's trying to bat away the machines that are draining the central power battery, which Kyle points out shouldn't be possible. That the power battery should always stay charged. And so they try attacking Relic some more. He's just like, okay, I'm just going to redirect your stuff while I do my thing. Like, I don't really want to care about you guys anymore. But one of the blasts gets redirected to Saint Walker when he's not expecting it, and he gets knocked out of the sky pretty hard. So at that point, Kyle goes down, and he's like, okay, this is getting a bit too serious now. We got to deal with this. The central power battery is now like completely empty. All of the robots are returning back to the ship, and Relic starts firing down a laser beam at all of our heroes. Blue Lanterns try to keep a little shield up just to protect everybody as Kyle looks over Saint Walker. He's trying to heal him, but for some reason it's not working. And they point out that it's because he has taken all of the hope from the central power battery. Like, there's nothing more that can be done to heal. And one of the Guardians, like Ganthet, he's like, hey, look, he showed us what's going on. I'm going to show you too. And so he smacks the memories into Kyle, and he's like, oh God, oh no, I get it now. So at that point, Worth is like, hey, here's the thing. You got to transport out of here. Use your indigo energy and just get out of here. And he's like, oh, I can't. So much energy has been drained. I can't make the leap, especially with this many people. And Worth is like, you can and you will. Have hope. And Kyle points out, like, well, I'm not going to leave you guys here. And he's like, there's a lot of things about Blue Lantern energy that you don't understand, that we haven't like fully revealed yet. Saint Walker knows that better than anyone. You need to save him. You need to get him out of here, because the Blue Lantern Corps will be okay as long as he's okay. So teleport out of here. And here's our little special surprise. And it turns out that the blue energy power is not only able to bump green energy power, but it's also able to bump at least indigo, possibly other cores as well. And Kyle's like, how long has that been a thing? And he's like, I'm not going to bother telling you, bye. So Kyle teleports out with all the Guardians, Carol, and Saint Walker. All of the other Blue Lanterns lose their power. Their rings go completely dry. They have no more power left to draw on. So as Relic looks down, he's like, do you believe your sacrifice will change anything? And Worth just sits down with his friends and starts meditating. He's like, oh, I hope so. But all I know is that all will be well. And Relic's like, okay, and just destroys them with a laser. Like, we see their skeletons as the planet is hit. I feel really bad for the Blue Lantern Corps. This is now the second time just in this book that they have lost their planet, essentially. This is bad news. I do appreciate this is the first time that it feels like Relic has cemented himself as a villain, and the way that all the other heroes, having looked into his mind, describe, like, oh no, without actually saying what happened. They just say, oh no. That does more than I think even him killing the Blue Lantern Corps does. Of just this idea of, we have all the villains or all the heroes saying there is no chance of us winning, but the audience isn't quite let in yet. It really adds that mystique of like, no, we're screwed. Add on top of it that he literally destroys hope. I think that speaks for itself. So overall, I like this issue. I think it's fantastically well done. I know that with all of the issue 24s across the Green Lantern books is the event Lights Out, which I believe deals with specifically the ramifications of this. So we will get to that in 2 months' time. But this is solid. So I'm going to say that this one is, I'm going to give it an 8.5. I think this is a really well done book, and it ends on just the most darkest hour, especially for the Blue Lantern Corps. So yeah, 8.5.